Good morning, boys and girls. Today we are going to be starting a new unit, and it is going to be on fractions.
Alrighty, so first we're gonna I want boys on that half of the room and I want girls on that half of the room. I'll give you about 10 seconds. Go. All right, that was a great 10 seconds. So we've got 17 boys and 13 girls. Now what's 17 plus 13? 30. There are 30 students in this class. It's a big class. But notice how all of the boys and out of the girls make all of our class. So now these are what we're going to call fractions. Fractions look like that. You've got your numerator, which is the number. So for our examples, it's going to be the number of shaded parts. With our boys and girls in the classroom section, we had 17 boys out of 30 students. 30 is our total part. That's going to be our denominator. And our numerator over our denominator gives us a fraction. Now, Miss Caitlin is going to show us a video that's going to better explain fractions.
Okay. Now, just a reminder, this video will be showing some vocabulary. Some of it is what Miss Langton talked to us about, which is numerator and denominator, but there might also be some vocab terms that you are not familiar with.
Hi everyone! Today we're going to learn about fractions. A fraction is a number that is used to show how many equal parts there are. When writing a fraction, we put one number above another number with a line in between them. The top number, or numerator, tells us how many parts we are talking about. The bottom number, or denominator, tells us how many parts there are altogether. When something is divided into two equal parts, we call them halves. One piece out of two total pieces is 1/2. When something is divided into three equal parts, we call them thirds. One piece out of three total pieces is 1/3. Two pieces out of three total pieces is 2/3. When something is divided into four equal parts, we either call them fourths when they appear in math, or quarters when they appear in daily life. One piece out of four total pieces is 1/4, or 1/4. Three pieces out of four total pieces is 3/4, or 3/4. Two total pieces out of four is 2/4, but because it is the same amount as one piece out of two, it is expressed as 1/2. You can keep cutting shapes into smaller and smaller pieces, and as long as the pieces are equal, those pieces are fractions. In the same way that 2/4 can be expressed as 1/2, other fractions that contain the same amount of the whole may be simplified or reduced to another fraction. For example, 4/12 is exactly the same as 2/6, which is the same as 1/3. Fractions are used in many places in our everyday lives. They are important anytime you want to share something equally, measure a part of something, or even tell time. Take a look and see if you can find any fractions around you.
Okay, so that video did a good job at explaining how we can split a whole into different parts and what we would label those, whether it's 1/2, 1/3, 2/3. And now Miss Barry is going to take us into a little activity that we can do.
So we have this online game where you have to select, for this one it says select the picture that shows the equal parts. So we have a triangle with 3 lines in it, and then two rectangles, and the ones you can see which ones are equal and which ones have smaller pieces. So we're going to pick that one. And that's correct. And then you have to do the same thing with the picture, with the circles. So you can see how parts of the circle are uneven, like the pink one and the green one, and then, or the purplish one, and then you have the pink one that's even. So we click that one. And then just like you gotta look at the triangles and how triangles don't really split evenly very much. So, and then we have the rectangle, it's split into thirds. So that's gonna have, if you have one of those shaded in, it would only be 1/3. And so I want you guys to play this game on your own for a little bit, and you can find that in your Google Classroom.
Okay, so what have we learned today? Who can tell me what the two parts of a fraction are? A numerator and a, yes, Riley. A numerator and a denominator. Yep, so a numerator will be the part that is on the top, so it will be on top of the line, and that will tell us how many parts of the whole we have. And then the denominator will be the number on the bottom, so it'll be below the line, and it will tell us how many parts of the whole there are. So whether the shape is split into 2 or 3 or 4 or any number of parts. Now, what happens if who remembers in the video when it said to look for fractions around you? Anyone? So there's fractions all around us. You can look at a clock. So raise your hand if you've ever heard someone say 3:30 or 6:30. Okay, so when they're saying that there, it's actually a fraction. You hear that? It's half, so 1/2 past. So that would be, if it's 3:30, that would be 3:30, or 6:30, that would be 6:30. There can also be food. So a lot of times you're asked by your parents or your teachers to share your food equally. So you're gonna have to be asked to split a candy bar equally with your brother or your sister or your friends. So you're gonna have to know how to split that. There's also money. So when you're paying for something, you can kind of look at, if it's $1.50, that's $1, and then 50 cents is actually half a dollar. So the final thing that we would like you to do is you're going to work on this worksheet, and it's going to look like this. So the instructions say to determine which letter best describes the shaded portion. So you are going to look at the first question, and it will say, you're going to look at this, it's a circle. So how many parts is the circle split into? 4 parts. And now you are going to look at the shaded portion. So it's going to be 2. So you are going to look at the question, the answers. It can either be 4/4, 2/4, or 2/2. So you will look at the picture, you'll read the answers, and then you're going to determine which answer best describes the shaded portion. And then with that, you are going to type in your answer over alongside here in the answer bar. And then you will do that. You can find this worksheet in your Google Classroom. You can find the link. And then once you are all done, once you have worked through all the questions, you can turn it in, and then I can look at your answers.
So I'm going to work with Tim over here. So Tim, let's work on question 1. So you have, just like Miss Greenfield described, you have the 4 parts in the circle. And we have how many shaded? 2. Good job. So let's look at the fractions. And this is, we have A, which is the 4/4. So it's 4/4, or it's B, which is 2/4, or it's C, which is 2/2. So which one matches the circle? B. Good job. So let's write that over there. All right, let's work on the next one. Caitlin, end the video whenever you want.
Okay.